Fly Me to the Moon, written by Girl with One Eye. Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. I was sitting at the front desk at the end of the night shift when I heard the gentle humming coming from the entrance. Our hotel is pretty small, nothing luxurious. No one fancy ever comes here. That's why sometimes during the night shifts I get the creeps. So it was quite unusual when I noticed a young man, maybe in his mid-20s, enter the guest room. He was holding a little girl in his hands and gently singing her to sleep. It was just me at the front desk, so his gentle, angelic voice echoed through the room. Let me see what spring is on Jupiter and Mars. He was thin, short black hair, quite pale. I couldn't make out his features because of the medical face mask that all of us wear nowadays in our region and the black sunglasses. But still, you could tell that he was dressed in luxurious clothing. I could see the little girl's long blonde hair. Her face was hidden in the man's shoulders, and he approached the desk slowly. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, darling, kiss me. I instinctively sang back to him. I could tell that he was taken aback. He pulled out his passport and passed it to me. You have a great taste in music, I smiled at him, and I looked at the little girl. I could see that her hands were covered in bandages, even her neck. Thank you. His voice was a bit cold. My daughter isn't doing well. I have to sing to her in order to calm her down. We are here for her treatment. Well, I hope she gets well soon. I mumbled, taken back by his suddenly cold voice, which was completely different from the way that he was singing. Please tell the staff not to disturb us during the day, he said dryly. I noticed that the little girl started to shift and shake a bit on his shoulder. She made a strange moaning-like sound. He took the key from the desk and continued. Fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. His voice became more distant as he disappeared on the stairs. My shift ended pretty soon, but the thing was that I still couldn't get the guy and his daughter out of my head. So, when I returned for the night shift once again the next day, my mind was filled with all sort of unanswered questions. That's when I saw him yet again approaching me at the desk. Hello, I will be away for the night. It's in regards to my daughter's medication and to get some food. Please make sure that no one disturbs her. All I did was nod. He seemed like a stone-cold man. Once again, what struck me was his pale skin. He moved a bit slower than the last time, as if he had a hard time moving on his own. However, as he disappeared in the doorway, I had already made my decision. I wanted to see what was going on. It took me a good hour to fight against myself, but by the end of the day, I grabbed the spare room key from under the counter and I went for his room. I know it doesn't feel all that professional, but my gut was telling me that something was wrong. There was always something creepy about an empty hotel during night shifts. It's as if you hear things that are not there amidst the silence. But this time when I went for the room, I could clearly hear the song echoing down the corridor. You are all I long for, I worship and adore. I dropped to my knees and I looked through the keyhole. There she was, the little girl lying on the bed sleeping, and the music was playing in the background. In other words, please be true. That's when I noticed in the room's lights, she didn't have her bandage on. Her hands, legs, even her neck were covered in bruises and bite marks. That's when my body moved on its own. I opened the door and went straight into the room. I had to look at the little girl closer. I had to know what was going on. In other words, I love you. And that's when I noticed that because of my sharp movement, I tripped over the old record player that was playing the song, and it dropped to the floor and got stuck on one spot. Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. It kept on repeating that over and over again, just like a broken record. I had no idea what to do, and that's when I noticed the little girl had jumped out of the bed and started screaming, "Get away from me! Don't touch me!" She was yelling at me with her childish voice. I had no idea what to do. I tried to approach her. Now I could see the bite and scratch marks all along her body. But as I tried to get closer, she screamed louder. "Get away from me! Don't hurt me! I don't want you to touch me! Not anymore! Please, please!" She screamed, and she was digging her little nails into her skin, and the record was repeating the same lines, and I didn't know what to do. I panicked so hard that I froze in place. But all of a sudden, the record continued to play. Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. The little girl all of a sudden stopped shaking and dropped on the bed. The music continued. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. Can I speak with you in private? A voice said. That's when I felt the hair on the back of my neck stand up. I turned around sharply, and there he was, right in front of me. I was trying to think of a good excuse in my head, but he didn't even let me speak. I understand your concern. His voice was stone cold and indifferent. Please see this. It was a doctor's report. I could see the picture of the little girl, her first name, last name, and a little report on her. It said something about bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, self-harming, PTSD, and a bunch of other medical terms. I was shaking on the spot. She isn't doing so well. She hurts herself a lot during these episodes. I do understand that you had the best of intentions, but please do not bother us again. I just nodded. There was something strange about him. He was moving faster than he had earlier today, and he seemed sharper. He just went for the door. I couldn't move. I kept on hearing the song in the background. I knew that it was a bad idea, but still, I dropped to my knees again, and I looked through the keyhole. But the strange thing is, this time, all I could see was red, vibrant, very sharp crimson red. I assumed that the man had put fabric over the keyhole to keep me from peeping in again. I felt awful, and I just returned to my desk. In less than an hour, I heard footsteps. Damn it, it was him, walking towards the desk with the little girl in his arms. This time, she was in bandages. I was shaking a bit, and I felt really awkward. The girl was wearing headphones this time. He approached the desk and paid the bill. I wanted to wish him a good day, but that's when it happened. In a very swift motion, he removed the face mask and shifted the sunglasses to the top of his head. I froze in place. His skin was pale as snow. Behind his red lips, I could see that he had 2 sharp fangs. He licked his lips and mumbled in a voice completely different from before. Now he sounded predatory, full of lust. Lucky you, I was just out for dinner. Or else, Do you know what happens to peeping Toms? I couldn't say a word, because what froze me on the spot wasn't his fangs or what he said. It was his crimson, almost bloody eyes. Good girl. He shifted his face mask and glasses and went for the door. I could hear him humming to himself in a gentle tone once again. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, darling, kiss and